What if I told you that luck has far less to do with your future than you think? Maybe you've been waiting for your moment, waiting for the right opportunity, the right person, the right circumstances. And every time life knocks you down, you tell yourself, maybe I'm just unlucky. But what if that is the lie keeping you weak? Because some people are not successful because life was kind to them. They became strong because life wasn't. They were rejected. They failed. They lost money. They were betrayed. They watched opportunities disappear right in front of them. And somehow, they kept going. The Stoics understood a truth that can completely change the way you see your life. You don't need a life without problems. You need a mind that problems cannot destroy. Because when your mind becomes unbreakable, failure becomes a lesson, rejection becomes redirection, pain becomes strength. Hello everyone, welcome to the Stoic Hypnosis channel. And in this video, we're going to uncover how the Stoics trained themselves to remain calm, disciplined, and powerful when everything around them seemed to be falling apart. Because perhaps the greatest advantage you can ever have is not good luck. It is becoming the kind of person that bad luck cannot defeat. Now, let's get started. Part 1. Stop blaming luck. There comes a point in life when you start believing that other people simply got lucky. They met the right person. They found the right opportunity. They were born into better circumstances. They made the right decision at the right time. And you? You tried. You worked. You waited. But somehow, things kept going wrong. So eventually, you begin telling yourself a story. Maybe I'm just unlucky. It sounds harmless, but if you repeat it long enough, it becomes a prison. Because once you believe your life depends on luck, you start feeling powerless. You stop taking risks. You stop trying after failure. You hesitate when opportunities appear because you are already expecting disappointment. And slowly, you don't lose because life defeated you. You lose because your mind convinced you that fighting was pointless. The Stoics saw this differently. They understood that life would never be completely fair. Some people would receive more. Some would lose more. Some would begin with advantages you could never have. But they also understood something far more important. You cannot choose the conditions you are given, but you can choose what you do with them. Marcus Aurelius was surrounded by war, political pressure, betrayal, illness, and death. Yet he repeatedly returned to the same battlefield, his own mind. Because the greatest battle is rarely happening outside of you, it is happening inside. Every time you fail and decide to try again, you strengthen yourself. Every time someone rejects you and you refuse to let it define you, you become stronger. Every time life takes something from you and you still choose discipline over despair, you build a mind that becomes harder to break. This doesn't mean pretending that pain doesn't exist. It means refusing to let pain become your identity. You can say, "This is difficult," without saying, "My life is over." You can admit, "I failed," without believing, "I am a failure." You can lose an opportunity without deciding that opportunities will never come again. That distinction changes everything. Because luck may influence what happens to you, but your character determines what happens next. So stop asking, "Why am I so unlucky?" Ask a better question. Given what has happened, who am I going to become? That is a question within your control. And sometimes, the person who learns to stand after being knocked down again and again becomes far more powerful than the person who was lucky enough to never fall. You don't need life to become easier. You need to become stronger than the version of yourself who used to give up. Because once your mind stops depending on perfect circumstances, you become dangerous to every obstacle standing in your way. Part 2. The event is not your enemy. Your reaction is. Sometimes, life doesn't destroy you. Your interpretation of life does. Someone criticizes you, and you spend 3 days thinking about it. Someone rejects you, and suddenly you question your entire worth. You lose money, and you convince yourself that you will never recover. You fail at something important, and your mind immediately whispers, "See? I told you, you're not capable." The event happens once, but your mind can make you experience it 1,000 times. This is one of the most powerful ideas within Stoic philosophy. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can train yourself to control how you respond. Imagine two people losing the same opportunity. The first says, "This always happens to me. Nothing ever works out." The second says, "I didn't get what I wanted. What can I learn from this?" Same event, different minds, different futures. The difference is not luck, it is perception. This does not mean you should deny reality or pretend that everything is fine. The Stoics were not naive. They knew pain was real, loss was real, failure was real, death was real. What they refused to accept was the belief that these things had the power to decide who they would become. Think about the last thing that hurt you deeply. Maybe it was a breakup, a business failure, a betrayal, a rejection, a dream that didn't happen. Now ask yourself, what happened? And what story did I create about what happened? Those are not always the same thing. The event might have been, I lost my job, but the story became, I'm a failure. The event might have been, someone rejected me, but the story became, nobody will ever love me. The event might have been, I made a terrible mistake, but the story became, I ruin everything I touch. And that story can become more destructive than the original pain. So the next time something goes wrong, pause before reacting. Don't immediately ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is actually happening right now? Then ask, what part of this can I control? Maybe you cannot change the decision, but you can control your next move. You cannot erase the loss, but you can decide what the loss teaches you. You cannot force someone to respect you, but you can decide whether you will continue disrespecting yourself by chasing their approval. This is how an unbreakable mind is built, not through positive thinking, through disciplined thinking. You train your mind to separate facts from fear, reality from assumption, pain from identity, and circumstances from character, because life will keep testing you. There will always be another unexpected problem, another rejection, another disappointment, another day when things don't go according to plan. You cannot eliminate those moments, but you can become the person who meets them differently, calmer, stronger, more deliberate, less afraid, and eventually you discover something remarkable. The world does not need to become gentler for you to become stronger. You simply need to stop giving every difficult event permission to control the person you become. Before we continue, I want you to stop for a moment. Think about the hardest thing you are facing right now. Maybe it's a failure, a rejection, a financial struggle, a relationship that fell apart, or simply the feeling that no matter how hard you try, life keeps pushing you backward. Now ask yourself, am I trying to change my circumstances, or am I training myself to become stronger than them? Because the Stoics understood something most people learn far too late. You may not control what happens tomorrow, but you can control who you become because of what happens today. If this message is speaking to something you are going through, stay with me. The next lessons will go even deeper into how you can train your mind to remain calm, disciplined, and powerful when life becomes difficult. And if you believe these ideas can help you become stronger, subscribe to the channel and support this journey. Your support gives me the motivation to keep creating meaningful lessons about stoicism, discipline, resilience, and inner strength. Now, let's continue, because the next lesson may completely change the way you look at your struggles. Part 3. Let hardship train you. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid discomfort. They want an easy life, a predictable life, a life where nothing goes wrong. And when difficulty appears, they ask, why is this happening to me? But the Stoics asked a different question. What can this make me? That single question can change the way you experience suffering, because hardship is not always there to destroy you. Sometimes it is there to reveal you. You don't discover how strong you are when everything is going well. You discover it when everything goes wrong and you still get out of bed. When you are exhausted but keep your promises. When nobody is watching and you still choose discipline. When you lose something you deeply wanted and refuse to let bitterness become your personality. That is where strength is built. Think about a muscle. It doesn't become stronger because you admire it. It becomes stronger because it is challenged. The mind is similar. Every difficult experience can become resistance. Every disappointment can become training. Every uncomfortable moment can teach you something about yourself. This doesn't mean you should search for suffering or create unnecessary problems. It means that when hardship arrives, as it inevitably will, you stop wasting all your energy wishing it had never happened. Instead, you ask, what is this moment training me to become? Maybe rejection is teaching you not to depend on approval. Maybe failure is teaching you patience. Maybe loneliness is teaching you how to stand without constant validation. Maybe losing something is teaching you that your identity was never supposed to depend on possessions. Maybe being underestimated is teaching you to work quietly. And maybe the season of your life that you currently hate will eventually become the season that made you. Marcus Aurelius understood that obstacles could become part of the path. The thing standing in your way could become the very thing that strengthens your character. Imagine someone insulting you. You could react immediately. You could spend hours replaying their words. You could allow anger to consume your entire day. Or you could pause and think, why am I giving this person control over my peace? That pause is strength. Imagine failure. You could collapse and decide you're finished. Or you could study what happened, adjust, learn, return stronger. That is strength too. An unbreakable mind is not a mind that never feels pain. It is a mind that knows what to do with pain. And this is where many people misunderstand resilience. Resilience doesn't mean saying, nothing hurts me. It means saying, this hurts, but it will not decide what I do next. That sentence contains enormous power, because eventually life will test everyone. You will lose, you will fail, you will be misunderstood. You will experience moments when nothing seems to make sense. The question is not whether those moments will come. The question is, who will you be when they do? Will you become bitter or wiser? Will you become weaker or more disciplined? Will you blame your circumstances or will you use them? You may not have chosen the storm, but you can choose how you walk through it. And one day, you may look back at the hardest chapter of your life and realize something unexpected. It didn't break you, it built you. Part 4. Discipline when you don't feel like it. There will be days when you don't feel strong, days when you wake up tired, days when your motivation disappears, days when your plans seem pointless and the easiest thing in the world is to simply give up. And those days are important, because anyone can be disciplined when life is going well. Anyone can feel motivated when the future looks promising. The real test begins when you have every reason to stop, and you choose to continue anyway. This is where discipline becomes more powerful than motivation. Motivation depends on emotion. Discipline depends on decision. You cannot build an unbreakable mind by waiting until you feel ready. You build it by doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. Get up when you want to stay in bed. Finish what you started. Keep the promise you made to yourself. Do the difficult thing before the comfortable thing. Not because you are trying to punish yourself, but because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build trust with yourself. And every time you break one without a real reason, you teach your mind that your own words cannot be trusted. Think about that. Your confidence doesn't come only from success. It comes from knowing, when I say I will do something, I do it. That kind of confidence is different. It doesn't depend on compliments. It doesn't depend on applause. It doesn't disappear when someone criticizes you. It is built quietly, through thousands of small decisions nobody sees. The Stoics understood the importance of practicing self-control. They didn't want to become slaves to comfort, because a person who needs everything to be comfortable becomes fragile. But a person who can tolerate discomfort becomes difficult to control. This is why you should occasionally choose the harder path. Wake up when you promised yourself you would. Put your phone away when your mind wants distraction. Exercise when you don't feel motivated. Work on your goals when nobody is praising you. Spend time alone without needing constant entertainment. Learn to sit with boredom. Learn to sit with uncertainty. Learn to sit with rejection. Not because suffering is the goal, but because you are teaching your nervous system, I can handle discomfort. And that belief changes everything. Because when difficulty comes, you no longer immediately panic. You don't need everything to go according to plan. You don't collapse because someone disagrees with you. You don't abandon your goals because progress is slow. You simply continue. One step, then another, and eventually, something inside you becomes stronger. You stop asking, do I feel like doing this? And you start asking, is this the person I want to become? That question is far more powerful, because your future is not built by the things you do occasionally when you feel inspired. It is built by what you repeatedly do when nobody is watching. So don't wait for motivation to rescue you. Build discipline. Build consistency. Build self-respect. Build the ability to act according to your values instead of your temporary emotions. Because motivation can disappear overnight. Circumstances can change tomorrow. Luck can turn against you. But if you have trained your mind to keep moving regardless, then even when life takes away your comfort, it cannot take away your direction. And a person who knows where he is going does not need perfect weather to keep walking. Part 5. Become someone life cannot break. One day, you will realize that the goal was never to create a life where nothing goes wrong. That life doesn't exist. The goal was to become the kind of person who can face what goes wrong without losing himself. Because life will test you. It will take things you thought would stay forever. It will close doors you desperately wanted to walk through. It will disappoint you. It will embarrass you. It will make you question whether all your effort is worth it. And sometimes you will do everything right and still lose. That is one of the hardest lessons to accept. But it is also one of the most freeing. Because once you stop expecting life to always reward you, you stop being destroyed when it doesn't. You stop thinking, this shouldn't be happening. And you begin thinking, this is happening. What will I do now? That is the mindset of someone who cannot easily be broken. Not because they are invincible, but because they have stopped demanding that reality obey their expectations. They understand that life is unpredictable, so they focus on what remains theirs, their character, their effort, their discipline, their response, their ability to begin again. Think about everything you've already survived. There were moments you thought would destroy you, and yet, somehow, you made it through. You may not have come through those experiences unchanged, but perhaps that was never the point. Maybe you were supposed to become wiser, more patient, more selective about who you trust, more disciplined with your time, more protective of your peace, more aware of how quickly circumstances can change. Pain may have taken something from you, but it may also have given you something you could never have learned in comfort. Perspective. And once you have perspective, you stop envying people who seem lucky. You don't know what battles they are fighting. You don't know what their future holds. And you don't need their life. You need to build yours. So stop waiting for luck to save you. Stop waiting for the perfect opportunity. Stop waiting until you feel fearless. Start with what you have. Use what you know. Take the next step. And when life knocks you down, get up. Not because you are certain everything will work out, but because giving up would mean surrendering the only thing that has always been within your control, your response. This is what the Stoics understood. Strength is not the absence of adversity. Strength is the ability to remain yourself inside adversity. You can lose money and still keep your integrity. You can lose a relationship and still keep your dignity. You can fail and still keep learning. You can be rejected and still keep your self-respect. You can lose almost everything external and still possess the one thing that determines what happens next, your mind. So perhaps you don't need better luck. Perhaps you need stronger standards, a stronger discipline, a stronger relationship with yourself, a stronger ability to accept reality without surrendering to it. Because luck may open a door, but character determines what you do once you walk through it. And when the next storm arrives, and it will, you won't need to ask, "Why me?" You will simply breathe, stand up, look at what remains, and say, "This is difficult, but I am still here." Then take the next step, and another, until one day you realize something. You stopped waiting for life to become easier, because you became stronger than the life you were given. You don't need luck. You need a mind that refuses to be defeated. Conclusion. You don't need a lucky life. You need a strong mind. Life will disappoint you, reject you, and sometimes take away the things you desperately wanted. But you can choose what those moments make of you. The deepest Stoic lesson is this: you cannot control the storm, but you can control the person who walks through it. So start today. Stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What can this teach me, and what can I control right now?" Keep your promises to yourself. Choose discipline when motivation disappears. Accept what you cannot change, and put your energy into what you can. Remember, pain is inevitable, but surrender is a choice. If this video gave you a new perspective, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Your support gives me the motivation to keep creating deeper lessons about stoicism, discipline, resilience, and inner strength. Thank you for taking the time to watch until the end of the video. See you in the next videos.